Before we begin today, I want to talk about Constitution Day. Tomorrow morning, I'm going to be doing a chapel at the McKeel Christian Academy on the biblical basis of the Bill of Rights. And I'm going to try to teach it to the teenagers a little bit differently than I've taught it in the past. And let's think about our Constitution and its relationship to the Bill of Rights this way. Or I should say, let's think about the Ten Commandments and how they are the precursor, how they led the Founding Fathers to understand how to write the Bill of Rights. And that's why I call it the biblical basis of the Bill of Rights. The Ten Commandments say, thou shalt not. Why? Because when God says, thou shalt not murder, he's saying everyone has a right not to be murdered. When God says, thou shalt not steal, lie, covet, sexually molest, he's saying everybody has a right to not have those things done to them. In Commandments 1 through 4, God says, worship me in these ways. In Commandment number 5, God says, we should conduct ourselves so that your family operates in this particular way. So the Founding Fathers read that and they said, let's make a Bill of Rights. In my opinion, the Bill of Rights should have been named the Ten Commandments to Government. Because the Bill of Rights don't tell me my rights. The Bill of Rights don't say that I can go to the store when I feel like it, that I can find a particular job, get myself educated in a particular way. It doesn't give me any of my rights. What it says is, government thou shalt not. And when government stays within its confines, when government operates within those enumerated principles, meaning that we made a list of 10, if it's not on the list, don't do it. When you violate what's on that list, you are violating the people's rights. The Bible, the Bill of Rights says, government, thou shalt not infringe on people's ability to worship God the way the Bible says. That's why Amendment number 1 begins with freedom of religion. If government stays within its confines, we the people can worship God freely. The government does all sorts of things to try to get us not to worship God the way the Bible says. The primary one is something called the 501c3 policy, which is administered through the Internal Revenue Service, that basically says if you stand in front of a church, you have to abandon your First Amendment free speech rights and quit talking about certain things. Jesus told his disciples, beware of the leaven of the Pharisees and of Herod. Our government does not want us. I shouldn't say it's our government. It's people who control the IRS. They don't want you to know what the leaven of Herod is and how it applies in government today. In the history of the world, no government at any time, except early in the American constitutional system, has government not tried to control religion. When people say separation of church and state, they're literally saying that the government is under no obligation to treat us according to the Ten Commandments. And there's a parallel between the Ten Commandments and the Bill of Rights. Just give you one. Ten Commandment number 6 says, thou shalt not murder. It says we all have a right not to be murdered. The Founding Fathers said, because you have the right not to be murdered, we are going to give you a Second Amendment so you can defend yourself from being murdered.